Good afternoon. Can you all hear me? Good afternoon. What we talked about this morning about weather, snow. We're not actually doing hands-on training. We just want to make sure that you understand the concepts. Ito kasi bisi kalon natin ito. This afternoon, we'll be doing a little more hands-on. Going through the contents of what we've prepared. Landmarks, navigation equipment, and the grub box. The 4 main items. Landmarks. An elder once told me, if I walk like this, don't walk like this. Look at my environment around me. That's what he said. And Jitalo said we generally look that way and we should look around. Don't just walk with your head down. And Simon said, make sure you look back. Wow, Canada 150, and wow, there's a cross up there, and wow, look at this. There's a picture there. And I'm looking forward, so I can't see what's behind me. So I don't know what's behind me. And you're all looking towards me. I can ask you, do you remember what was behind you?
Car, yeah. And there's lots of more. Lots of more stuff over there. You don't remember anything of them. We haven't seen nothing of them because we're looking at this way. Okay? Simon says, look back. I say, look back over there. That's what he says. Look back. Okay. Because we're heading this way, going brrrr. Okay, stop and look back. This is where I'm going home. I have to know that how it looks. Because, going back to
that's because if I'm in a land where I've never been before, I will not know what it's going to look like. That's what I wrote down here. Landmarks in the way past, before my time and before your time and even before they were around. The landmarks in the way past were put up and we still use them today. Those of us who live in a hilly or mountainy area, and a lot of gullies, canyons, and valleys, and the mountains. Sometimes it amazes me that his land has no mountains. And if I go to the Keewatin, if we go to the Keewatin, some of it has no mountains. I find that amazing. No wonder people get lost down there and we get lost up here when we have lots of mountains. When I moved to Iqaluit, And looking at the land, I thought this should be easy. And going by snowmobile to where I wanted to go, I realized it's not so easy. I realized that this land, the low tide line, there's no way to get to land once you're on the ice. It's too rough. Now, trails made by other people, the old ancient trails. Sometimes it's impossible to get off the trail. It's not travelable usually. You have to stay on the old trail. And some of it usually goes where the snow will be there first. And if I move or leave my camp and go through the valleys and the mountains, and you have to turn and avoid some of the bad areas. It's very, very difficult when it's bad visibility outside. And we know that our camp is somewhere down there. But to get there, we'd have to do a lot of meandering around the mountains. We have to go behind the mountains, and that's the way it is. So we're always told to be aware of the landmarks that had been put up. They would be, you generally put on a rock, put on another rock. Sometimes they can be quite small. We've been told to always be aware of them, because it's very difficult to travel in our land, and we have no trees. But there's always a but. Sometimes our equipment, traveling equipment, will break down. And that causes problems. That's why we have to be aware of what the land looks like. And actually we know where the trail starts. Like the way we speak, we're only talking like the crust of our knowledge. We're only conveying just the crust of our knowledge, and we still have a lot inside our gut here that we need to get out, and some of it's coming out a little bit, but slowly. Like his name is Solomoni. It's not Solomon. It's Zulu. Can you explain a bit more what we're supposed to be doing now? When it comes to landmarks, if we look across the bay, we can see about 12 miles away from us. And that whole area over there, and it keeps going up there. So it's kind of flat on top. And if we look at this side, it's very hilly with bedrock, rough bedrock. We know that, we would know just by looking at it in that direction, it's a lot flatter than this side here. So where would I go? Let's say I'm down there, where would I be facing? And if I'm over there, where am I supposed to be facing? Looking at these lands, some of it is quite flat, and this area, it's rougher. And the land that you can see can be our landmarks. Thank you. Like I said earlier, the valleys are generally in that direction, and the mountains generally face the same way too. When the weather becomes bad, or with a blizzard or whiteout, you can't see a mile or a quarter mile, then you'd have to rely on what you can see on the ground to travel. And don't go fast, because we have to take care of ourselves and we don't want to bump into anything, like rocks or boulders or a rough area or a sudden gully or a stream where we could get stuck. So travel slowly, and once we know where we are, if the weather clears up, and then we look at the stars. I use Tutukjuk personally, a star called Tutukjuk. There are two. It's sort of a square shape with it turns really slowly as the evening goes. It's in that direction is the cluster I generally use. But it moves. It moves to the right as the world turns. I generally use that star cluster. And the star that was mentioned earlier, the bright one, we believe what we've been told about it. But if we are in a valley, or if there are clouds, or if there's a mountain hiding it, we would look for that star. But you can't see it in bad weather though. If you're in one spot, near where, basically still where you got lost, it's better to stop. And put your camping survival stuff together. Just stop. We're not talking about search and rescue right now, but with my experience in search and rescues, I've been apart many times, and a lot of the people that taught us, trained us, are no longer with us, and I really still remember them in my heart. Some of it is sad, some of the memories are bad. And they used to tell us it's better to stay in one spot. And wait until dark. If you have a light on your machine, then it'll be easier to use the light. And we were told, and we believed it. And we were always told, it's okay to stop. The dark won't kill you. So we were told, stop, because we can't do anything else. We would put the rest of our lives in danger if we don't stop. It's better to do it slowly. Okay, you're out there in the middle of nowhere, and just you. You have to remember the family that is missing you, that is worried about you. Your children are worried about you. You have to keep them in your mind. We're trying to tell you very serious stories, very serious, true stories. We've gone through them many times. And I also once experienced all of us.
แต่ชีวิตลูกป่านี่
The very first time a person gets stuck or gets lost, they will go anywhere. As long as their machine still works, as long as it's got gas in it, that person will not have any idea, but they'll just keep going, and that has happened. They're lost, and then they would keep moving even when the machine runs out of gas. They're not heading towards home. They still keep moving. We can do the same thing. So we have to be aware of our surroundings. Look at the land, because you'll recognize a piece of land eventually. And if we just keep going in one direction, and from what we were told, you have to be aware of your surroundings, because we want to eventually get home. We want to get back to our wives or husbands and our children. They're waiting for us, and we want to get back healthy. This is true story I'm telling you. We are telling you the truth. We're telling you what we know. We're trying to share with you what we know. We don't want you to go on a bad hunting trip that I'm talking about. We're talking about something that is very true. We want to make sure that everybody is okay, and you and your family. Like if you're from a faraway land and you've moved here, we want to make sure that you all know. We want to make your family know that you're okay. Like even if you're lost. Maybe Simon can talk about this some more. Good afternoon. Landmarks. Anybody here don't know what a landmark is? This is an example. Even if it's dark, you can use these to see where you're going. And this one, we can see things like that. This is built very well. This is a landmark. We can see many different kinds of these landmarks. This was built by someone. Some of it has snow on it, and some of it has no snow on it. We don't know what this one means. We can just call it an inukshuk. This is facing towards something, directing you towards something. Even if you don't know what's past that, the snow that we can see on it, we can say that it comes from the sea direction. The drift comes from the sea direction. And behind that there would generally be no snow, so that can tell you where the sea is. We can use that to face back to the sea. So that's another use for a landmark. We heard a little bit about snow, and if there's a lack of snow, you would trot it and make it hard Like I'm come from a flat land. This is flat land that you can see here. No mountains at all. Very hard to know where you're facing. When it's cloudy outside, you have no idea where you're at. So if I look at the snowdrifts and the shape of the snowdrift, I would study the shapes, then I would be able to say it's that way. I would follow the shape of the dunes because these were created by a northwesterly wind, and I would know that. And if I see dunes like that, I would be able to say, oh, I was going this way, but looking at these dunes, I'm supposed to be going to that direction instead, after studying the dunes. And the other one? Each snow feature has a name. These overhangs are called okalawai, little overhangs, snow overhangs. This points to mainland. This little point, we don't follow that point. If a little tip is pointing that way, we don't go in that direction. We would not follow that direction. If we followed that direction, people have tried doing that and they've gotten lost inland, way inland. Sometimes the land looks all the same. If you look at the snow waves like that, you would go the other direction. So this is a very good example of something that'll help you or prevent you from getting lost. We were told to be very aware of those before we saw any numbers or anything like that. When we were living in the flat lands, this was very important for us to know. That can help us where we are, help us find where we are. Even if we're out hunting for a week, people would not be worried about us. So we were taught these things, and we're telling you very serious things here. We have to follow them. Wind creates different dunes. The north wind creates very hard snowdrifts, and these were created by that, by a northwest wind. And we can see the other drifts that were formed afterwards over the hard northwesterly drifts. Like with my memory up there, there's a lot of dunes on the side that I would have to go through. And some of them are really good to travel over. And as we were growing up, some of it used to be quite boring. It's like school in some way. They were trying to teach us. The older people were telling us these things about the weather, creating snow. And this is how we were taught. They taught us so they wouldn't have to be worried about us. And if we remember all these today, and if we use them properly and don't leave any equipment behind at home, and if it's bad weather, wait for it to get better. Even if it's a blizzard where you're at right now, don't try to keep traveling if we're okay. That's what we were told to do, because the weather will eventually get better. The weather will get better, and once it's travelable, we'll be happy. We'd be very happy. That's all for now. To add to that a little bit, this Inukshuk, we believe in Inukshuks. Inukshuk with arms and legs, we don't believe them. It's the 1980s invention. It's the Inukshuk with the arms and legs. Don't believe in those. They're not real. It can be one Inukshuk or two Inukshuks, because they support each other. Or they have a lot of helpers that could carry the rocks over. And we're made aware that Amaljoq Lake is up there in the north direction, and Pangnirtung is that way around, sort of, and Cape Dorset is that way. The big Inukshuk that is visible from Amaljoq, people used to call it iceberg. There is a little island that has a lot of ice forming on it, from ice splashing on the lakes. And it looked like an iceberg, and it existed for a long time before it melted. And we were told that past Amaljoq, near the lake, there is a giant Inukshuk that were made by people of Cape Dorset and Cumberland Sound people, the Pangnirtung people. People from Cape Dorset area and the Pangnirtung area would meet by that giant Inukshuk while caribou hunting. And we won't find any small Inukshuks there. There may be some newer ones, but if you go further, you will find a lot of Inukshuks. And if there's one Inukshuk with a hole in it, they look almost like legs, but it's got a hole in there's a hole in the bottom, and you're supposed to peer through that hole. That will show you a good route, both directions. So Inukshuks with holes in them are used to show two directions. I think he's rushing us here, so see what he has to say.